Good morning, church. I wanted to share another devotion with you this morning from Paul Tripp's My Heart Cries Out. I want to read the verse to you first. This is from Philippians 4:12 and 13. This is Paul writing, I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. This is called No More If Onlys. It's so easy to slip into an if-only lifestyle. I find myself slipping into it often. The if-only possibilities are endless. If only I'd been from a more stable family. If only I had better friends as I was growing up. If only my parents had sent me to better schools. If only I'd been given better intellectual gifts. If only that accident hadn't happened. If only I'd had better physical health. If only that degree program had been as good as advertised. If only I'd been able to find a better job. If only I didn't have to fight the traffic every day. If only I'd been able to get married. If only I hadn't gotten married so young. If only I understood marriage more before I got married. If only I had a more understanding spouse. If only I'd come to know Christ earlier. If only I'd found a good church when I was young. If only I didn't have to struggle with my finances. If only it was easier and more comfortable for me to communicate with others. If only I could find a small group that I could be comfortable with. If only I could have children. If only my children were more obedient. If I only knew the Bible better. If only that boss hadn't fired me. If only I had a better place to live. If only I could find some place where I feel like I really belong. If only God seemed closer to me. If only I didn't have to work so hard to make ends meet. If only. So the idea here is contentment, and I encourage you to think about what are your if onlys this morning as you face the day. Encouraging to help us to understand our hearts and where are we finding our satisfaction, our joy, our hope, our contentment. And ultimately, as we want to have our hearts like Paul, to find that in Jesus Christ, the one who strengthens us. So encourage you to think about your if-onlys. Also want to encourage you to think about these questions that Paul asks. How is an if-only lifestyle detrimental? And what can you do to avoid slipping into this sort of thought pattern? Encourage you today as you think about what are your if-onlys, that you would find your joy and your contentment in Christ. As the Spirit of God presses into you, may you find that contentment not in your circumstances, but in Christ himself. Blessings to you, church.